Live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, welcome race fans, one and all, back to Green Flag TV, where this afternoon we are set to duke it out one final time in racing action. It's the 2025 Global Indycar Challenge and the season finale at the Brickyard. My name is Little Rambo alongside Dan Bouchard with Howie Burrows behind the cameras for today's race, as we get set to go racing for 500 turns, 500 kilometers, and 125 laps. Daniel, 5 long races have taken us to this very moment, and the championship's still up for grabs. It has gone down right to the final race, and it's bound to be a good one here for this final run here in Gasoline Alley.
Well, it most definitely is going to be one great run. Eric Gasoline Alley here. So anyways, taking a look at the points. Johan Royer not racing tonight, so he's officially out of the championship hunt, which means it's Julian Altena and Amon Lal. Amon Lal just had to score 16 more points than Julian Altena to claim the championship tonight. So unfortunately, only a 2-car championship tonight, but hey, sometimes what can you do?
Sometimes what can you do, indeed. Johan Royer would have entered this race with 174 points for the Grid and Go machine. Instead, he is going to be watching from the sideline. So a 16-point deficit then between Altena and Amon Lal. It'll be one of those two drivers to come out on top with, well, technically Marquinez is still within mathematical distance, so is David Veg. But the likelihood any of them actually makes their way up there, slim to none. There you see the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.5 miles, 125 laps is on the cards for us here this afternoon, and all of this is going to make for quite the entertaining race. Of course, the big highlight of this race as well, 3 wide starts. I mean, IndyCar's 3 wide to Indianapolis. I mean, it's tradition, right? It'd almost be a crime to have them be double file.
Yeah, it would be, but the official iRacing would disagree on that, especially since the pacing codes from about 2003, and it would require a complete redo. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's going to be a giant snafu. Thank goodness we have live stewarding to clear those guaranteed black flags that we get in the start.
Right now, qualifying is underway. Now, here's the kicker again. Qualifying all throughout the season, it's been just the fastest of 2 laps, right? Not so this time around. Not only are there 4 laps instead of 2, but we are taking the average time out of those 4 laps as well. That's why it's so much more critical to hit every single possible lap here. It very much is meant to try to mimic the official Indy 500 qualifying, right? Of course, we are going off of time, not off of speed, as is the case in the real Indy 500, but it's about as close as you can get here on iRacing systems.
Yep, pretty much as close as you can get to the real life. I mean, I wish there was speed code, but there isn't, even though that was in an R2003, so you think it would have been able to transfer over, but either way, it's as close as we can get, and that's what this race is meant to be. It's as close as it's going to be to the real race, so 3 wide starts, average time over 4 laps. It's going to be a good race tonight. Probably the hardest track on the calendar, oval-wise, in any car, because it's so unique in anywhere in the world.
Practice sessions have been intense for the field as you're taking a look at some of the practice footage now from earlier today. Cars have been able to punch upwards of 230 miles an hour running by themselves. I'd imagine over 235 when running in the draft as well, right? So there's a lot of speed to be had underneath these race cars. I've seen a lot of guys try to push it 2-3 wide into the corners during practice. A lot of people, I think, trying to experiment, right? Figure out what works, what doesn't in practice, because if it goes wrong here in the main race, this track may look like it have a lot of runoff room, but when you're traveling at over 230 miles an hour, that runoff room, it runs out quickly if you lose the back end.
Oh yeah, there is no runoff room at Indianapolis if you're going sideways at over 200 miles an hour. We've seen that in real life, looking back to 2011 or 2012 when I think it was Sato went completely sideways and took out a ton of the field back then. And I mean, these IR18s are a lot easier to handle than the IR05, so here's hoping we don't have any of that tonight, or this evening, whatever time it is for you. it'll certainly be a tough race tonight.
Just a handful of seconds remain here in qualifying. We should be getting directly into racing action here this afternoon. We'll just wait to see if that is indeed going to be the case. I don't see any reason why it would not be, but, well, you know how things can go. And nope, we will be going straight into the race this afternoon. And with 3 wide starts, our grid's going to look a little bit more different than normal. So let's take a rundown on what that starting grid is going to be going through as we get set to see who will start where for your starting grid here for the Indianapolis 500K. 2 pace laps on off for us here this afternoon, and they'll start it off by having Julian Altena, the new points leader, starting in number 1 for Velocity Online Racing. He starts alongside the Team Watson Racing driver Matthias Strauss in the middle of that front row alongside Anthony Heitzma for Velocity Racing. And apparently that has not been so the things seem to be going a little bit awry. So we'll go through these as we got them. But it's Altena, and it's actually Andres Vinci and Matthias Strauss for the top 3 on row number 1. Row 2 holds Pim Van Gestel, Anthony Heitzma, as well as Jorge Martinez. From there, row 3, it'll be Juan Miguel Rodriguez alongside Lucas Santos of the Screech Moose Motorsports number 5. And then, of course, Aman Lal started back in 9th on row number 3. A lot of work for him to do if he wants to get himself up and working. Only 12 of the 21 put down qualifying laps. The 4th row headed up by Jake Gittes. Gittes actually making his first ever start in the Global IndyCar Challenge. Bit late to the game, but hey, better late than never. And hey, good data to go in to 2026. Jeffrey Mathin as well, making his first start of the season alongside Mike Jensen. So an all-rookie row number 4 for us here this afternoon. Row 5 will be David Veg alongside Matthias Ezekiel Marcamini. Marcamini, his first start in the Global IndyCar Challenge, yes, but he has made plenty of starts in the Classic IndyCar Series, which makes their return for the summer break this coming Sunday. Curious to be able to see Marcamini out for more on Sunday afternoons. Shkibots Moriani will be starting on there outside. Row 6, it's Brian Fiolas alongside Milan Volgazhang and Rodin Ivtenko, I believe, is also making his first start this afternoon. Henk Jen Steneker back in 19th place alongside Daniel Sol, and Jonas Silberg will bring it up for row number 7. That will close out your 21-car field as they're lined up 3 by. They'll get 1 more pace lap, and then this race will get underway. So, Daniel, doesn't that sight just look beautiful?
It just looks right. It looks wrong when you have cars too wide at Indianapolis in Indy cars. It just does not look right. This looks right, even if the field is slightly smaller than it would be in real life, which, I mean, that can either be a blessing or a curse as we see what and all that stuff. So here's hoping that we see everything going green. Well, next time, or 1 more lap, pace lap to go before we get going, as this just looks right as we salute the field down the front stretch, getting ready for that green flag lap.
Of course, this is not the only IndyCar race we have this week on Green Flag TV. It is actually the first of 3, as we also have the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series coming back for round number 2. They'll be at the Magic Mile this coming Saturday. And Daniel, you alongside Lucas Moody will be bringing us all the action from New Hampshire Motor Speedway this coming Saturday. And then as well as that on Saturday, you, of course, have the FTR Events Trophy.ai GT Endurance Series with a 6-hour race at the Bend. That'll be taking place right in the middle of that VOR race. And then, of course, the SRA Gen 4 Series kicking off racing action as well that evening over at Daytona International Speedway on Saturday night. And then Sunday, it's the 3rd IndyCar race of the week as the Classic IndyCar Series returns on the month-and-a-half-long summer break. They'll be out at the Kentucky Speedway to go racing at the 1.5-mile D Oval. Well, the field's on the back straightaway. Julian Altena, he's got to maintain a 16-point gap. I got to be honest, I think Aman Lal might be in trouble here. The best possible chance for Lal is that he takes the lead and wins, and Altena finishes outside of the top 5.
That has to be the goal for Aman Lal. There's really no other way to guarantee it. You've got to finish as high as possible, even without those, you just want to finish as high as possible. The point system here, it's a bigger gap if you finish in the top 2. So you're going to want to get those.
Well, the pace car has peeled away from the field. They're going to work their way through turn number 4. 3 wide in traditional Indycar fashion. Julian Altena in control as they make their way into Gaston Alley. Time to get the party started and see who will conquer the 2025 Global IndyCar Challenge. It's go, go, go from Indiana! Fanning out, 3 wide, down to the turn number 1 for the first time this afternoon. Altena jumping out by a long way. Gastel slow on the bottom side as he nearly bobbles off of the curving down to the inside of turn number 1. Coming around through turn 2, this time by. Looking all clear. 1 car catches the outside wall. That was Lucas Santos that got into the fence. And now 3 wide for some down the back straightaway. Altena continues to pull away into turn number 3.
Very clean start there. Smart by the field. Still, I think he just wanted to back out instead of going 3 wide as we see. Oh, here we go. We're already going. We're already wrecking.
Oh, boy. Big crash. 5, 6, 7, 8 cars. 1 up into the air, almost upside down. Caution comes out. It is the big one of epic proportions as half the field is jumped in the middle of turn numbers 3 and 4. And that'll start with Rodriguez getting tight out of turn number 3.
Yep. That looked like that was just waiting to happen. I mean, you get tight here and you're 3 wide, there's no coming back from that in those corners. There's not a lot of room to maneuver, and I mean, there was a car blinking in front of him, so that could have threw him off. You'll know that those internet issues can do that, but it's getting tight, sliding up. There's nowhere else to go, and, well, there was nowhere to go for anyone back there. That's just a racing incident, and shame it had to happen on the first lap like that, but there's really nothing you can do.
Watch this here as that 1 car right there, that white, orange, and blue one flies up into the air, nose pointed towards the sky, slams down, and he's lucky the car more or less settled by the time it reached the safer barrier, where that car very easily could have been pitched upside down. A monster crash coming down to the turn number 3 that last time by, and a brutal way to kick off this final race. By my count, I'm going to go and say there were about 7, 8, 9, 10 cars involved out of the 21. Quite literally about half the field.
Yep, and I mean, that really hurts Law's chances even more, because now... Yeah, there was a lot of meatballs from that, lots of cars involved. This really hurts him on Law's chances because, well, Altena can't fall back as far as he'd hoped, because a lot of those cars probably aren't going to come back out on track, so this will be even harder for Amon Law to secure the championship. Basically, Altena has to finish dead last, and Law has to win from the field that I see here.
Right now, Milan Vogeljan, Jonas Silberg, Brian Fiolas, Daniel Sol, David Veg, Rodriguez, and Jake Giddas, all with meatball flags this afternoon. A really brutal way to kick off racing action here this afternoon. Would love to get a look at that at speed if we can as well, because the slow motion does not do it much justice on just how quickly that turns south of the field. You know, 1 car gets into the wall and it's just on from there. We'll get another look at this one. This is from above, and watch it how quickly this is going to devolve as Rodriguez pushes up into the wall, and it's on.
Yep, and if those 2 cars were just dived a bit further down behind him, they probably would have been a lot less of an issue, but sometimes things just don't go your way, and, well, that's a tough break for Juan Miguel Rodriguez, well, I think he's pretty much out after that.
How's with the static camera entering turn number 4 on the way in. We should get the 1 to go signal this time by. Now, critically, Amon Law avoided the carnage. He is up to 7th place now, but he's still behind Julian Altena, who leads the way. Altena has actually extended that gap out as well here, Daniel, because remember, you get a bonus point for pole position and lead at lap, so now it's really an 18-point deficit that Amon Law has to make up. But that means that assuming Law wins, Altena cannot finish anywhere inside the top 5. And realistically, if Altena finishes 11th or higher, this championship is over no matter what.
Yep, and depending on how many cars we lose, he might lock it up well before the end of this race, because we lost a good chunk of cars there. So it'll be really, really difficult for Altena to even lose that title. So it's pretty much his championship to lose at this point. And I know it's only 4 laps into a 125 lap race, but the way things are shaking up, yeah, who knows?
Rodriguez, Gittes, Veg, Fiolis, and Vogelzang, and Silberg all still down and in pit road. A very, very tough break for drivers throughout the field, and many of them will not be contending with us here for the remainder of the afternoon. Well, 3 wide starts for the initial run, only single file for every restart after that. So same as most ovals. Irish pace car make its sharp left-hand turn down to pit road. Julian Altena maintaining the speed of 85 miles an hour on the approach of the green flag, which he will now look to take, and we're back underway. Well, already looking for the outside is Matthias Strauss trying to get around Julian Altena. With that, with Strauss not being trapped 3 wide, he's able to get right to the gearbox of that number 11. And here we go, begin the battle of the slingshot drafts down the straightaways.
And here comes all the slingshots. As you say before, no snaking this early on. And Strauss will just clear Altena heading into turn 3. And he'll take that lead. But, I mean, Altena's probably going to get him back the next lap. So we'll see what happens here as the field begins. It's single file for now, which is probably good as we complete the first lap at speed tonight.
Well, Matthias Strauss breaking out early in this one as Julian Altena and Anthony Heitzma situated back in second and third, having a good run of things. Oh, big slow up there for Andres Vinci as he did not get a good run through turn 2 at all. Pim Van Gastel going to look for the inside for number 4 as they're going to dive into turn number 3. Vinci caught on top. Ronan Eefting, the rookie, trying to make advantage of that. Couldn't have it done, though, into 4.
Eefting had a really good run at VOR at Homestead 2 weeks ago, looking to continue that momentum here. He was in his first race in the league, and he finished P2, so he's open to match that result, even if he isn't in the championship hunt. He's just here for a good finish.
Well, for now, the folks here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway putting on a show for us here this afternoon. Eefting going to look to the inside of Vinci. Tucks back in line. Thought better of that one as maybe trying to see if Vinci can close up to Gastel a little ways up the road. Gastel is struggling to hold on to the draft of Julian Altena. Heitzma's also broken around him, by the way, as he tries to now run down Matthias Strauss further up the road, but it is all eyes on this battle for 5th here. Is down to the inside. A late move for Jeffrey Mathen as he tries to attack the number 72.
Mathen with a very late dive there, but Eefting's going to roll around the outside as we have, I think that's Fiolis coming out of pit lane there. But on board with Jensen here. Is he looking at the back? He's going to make a look inside. Probably not close enough.
Oh, he's going to try for it. He gets pitched in. Mathen squeezes out Mike Jensen. Jensen had the nose in there, but that was probably a good idea to back out. That was only going to end one way if he continued to fight that out. Now he's got a great run, though, down the the front straightaway. He's going to try to make that look again. Down to the turn number 1, up the road as well. Clearing for 4th is going to be Ronan Eefting as he gets her up and around him. Mathen jumps around Jensen as well for 7th.
Good passes there. And Mathen able to hold that position. He's going to try and get past Andres Vinci here down the backstretch. Using that draft, diving in. And you can see Amon Law making a move on Lucas Santos for 10th place. Or 9th.
Further back in the field, side-by-side scrap between Matthias Zico, Marcamini, and Skibolts Mariani. They have just exchanged hands for 11th place as Marcamini gets up one more spot closer towards a top 10 this afternoon. We're going to jump back up now towards Mike Jensen as he tries to chase after Jeffrey Mathen and Andres Vinci. Vinci situated just a little bit up the road, up in the 6th place spot. And so far, Pim Van Gestel only pulling away with that 5th place spot. As these guys just can't figure out who wants to lead the trio from 6th to 8th.
Looking to lead that trio, and well, at this point, Vinci seems to just be holding up the field a little bit here. He's holding those guys up, and it's just not really working out for them. I mean, right now, they're stuck in the middle of pretty much no man's land as Eveting isn't able to, as Van Gestel has lost the back of Eveting, and these three are now just stuck behind Vinci, who just does not seem to be able to hold the pace of the people in front of them, and all this is doing is bringing Amon Lal up to these three.
Further up, it's Pim Van Gestel leading the way up front. Just behind them, it's Andres Vinci. Vinci closing quickly. Not able to get there, though. As is Jeffrey Mathen, and Mathen has to go a little bit wide into turn 1 to avoid running into the back of the number 7. Trying to find a run through turn 2. You see him taking a wider line on entry, trying to dime it off the corner, but he doesn't get a good run through 2, so he's going to stall out. And now they're caught in a drafting trend all the way up to Pim Van Gestel, who was a sitting duck on the entry to turn 3. There goes Vinci down to the inside.
But it's going to be real hard to hold that with no drafting partner in front of you, but no, he's not going to be able to do it, as Pim Van Gestel will hold the outside line there and just drive right back around him, but I think he could be saving. Yeah, he's checking up, and well, there goes Mathen right on through, up to P6, and well, now he's going to take a look at Pim Van Gestel.
Mike Jensen gets by Vinci as well. They both are like, well, if you're going to hold up and save fuel, I guess we'll take a crack at it and see if we can have a look down the inside. Gestel trying to hold on. There goes Mathen down to the inside of the racetrack as he is going to sweep right by Gestel with very minimal effort in the 5th.
Looks like they're saving fuel a little bit. I mean, it's a 500-kilometer race. There's going to be multiple stops. You're going to want to leave as much on the table, go as far as you can so you can limit the amount of time you spend in the pits on that last stop because, well, with that giant crash in lap 1, there's the field being as spread out as it is, cautions are going to be a lot more unlikely, which means we're probably going to have a green flag pit stops for the first couple times.
Would not surprise me, Daniel, as, you say we're going to get cautions. I don't think we will for a little bit. I mean, we just lost half the field, right? I think that's kind of been a wake-up call to a lot of these guys about, hey, maybe we back this one off just a little bit, at least for the time being. Now, here's the catch. Gestel and Mathen are doing what we call swap drafting, right? They are effectively helping each other save fuel by constantly switching places back and forth coming into these corners. It helps them save fuel while also keeping the speed up because you can trade off who's in the draft. Now, the problem for Mike Jensen is not able to make much ground while they're doing this because he's kind of being blocked in, but that said, he is able to save a lot more fuel than those two drivers in front of him. So he might not be complaining all that much. It sounds like we might have a replay of an incident coming up as well. And that is Lucas Santos coming through turn 2. Oh, he's wide. He's into the wall, and he'll keep it out from a spin. No caution for that. But he did get a meatball flag for that, Daniel, so he had to come down pit road to get a face. I'm willing to bet he probably damaged the wishbone on that right front.
It could be the right front or the right rear, because he hit the wall with both tires, and these are open-wheel cars. They are very fragile. If you hit the wall, you're going to get a lot of damage and probably get a meatball. These are not stock cars.
That doesn't stop the real-world IndyCar drivers from racing like they're stock cars, though. I mean, to anyone that's run a real IndyCar or that's watched a real IndyCar race, these guys are not afraid to get the elbows out if they have to. I mean, they are more than happy to go beating and banging in open-wheel cars. It's one of the most aggressive open-wheel series you can really find out there on the market. Gestel able to get around Jeffrey Mathen, and Lucas Santos has brought his car back behind the wall to the paddock.
Yeah, Lucas Santos' run of bad luck on Green Flag TV continues. So, well, he's going to re-rack him and stack him for Saturday and Sunday because I believe he's running VOR, if I remember correctly, and he's running the Classic IndyCar Series. So, I mean, at this point, I'm surprised he's still here. I mean, if you're superstitious and you're on a broadcaster, you've had absolutely no luck, as we see a battle for second as Altena will dive down the inside of Heitzma, heading into turn one. He'll get that position.
Gonna make the lunge as he gets up and around him. No problems there. Mike Jensen, by the way, has also gone on the offensive over the last little while. He has actually just made the pass into fifth place, while he's got around Gestel and Mathen in the span of one straightaway. So it seems like quite a few of these drivers that have been saving fuel, they are wanting to go. This is a replay of the pass that Mike Jensen had coming down towards turn number one. Look at the run he gets out of four.
Just a massive run there. He's going to dive to the inside on the front stretch. I'm betting that's what's going to happen, and they're going to go three wide. Not a lot of space to do that, and, well, rightfully, both of the guys on the outside back out. It's a bit early to be doing that still.
I mean, it's never too early to pass. I'm sure most race car drivers would agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, but it's a 500-kilometer race. It's a bit early to be going three wide and sending it because of how fragile these cars are. I mean, I'd at least want to make it to that final stop before going balls to the wall.
Well, for now, up front, Matthias Strauss continuing to just pull away with the lead, 4.8 seconds clear of Julian Altena, who has gotten nowhere in his bid to try and run him back down. Anthony Heitzma and Roden Eftink situated just back in third and fourth.
Seems like these three might be saving a bit of fuel. I mean, Altena had a lot of pace in qualifying. He plopped that thing on pole, so it's kind of surprising to see Strauss just absolutely pulling away. But I mean, you're going to want to save as much fuel as possible, because limiting the amount of time you're on pit road, that's the goal here.
Pit road can make or break a race, especially when you're in cars as quick and as powerful as these one. This is actually one of the drivers that was caught up in that lap one incident. That is Jonas Silberg, Daniel, who is now up into 16th, and he's just looking to secure some extra points because he can make up some moves here, especially to make up at least one confirmed spot on Lucas Santos and walk out of here with the top 15. And looking like Skabulch Mariani may have just absolutely clobbered the outside fence.
Yeah.
And he has a meatball flag as well.
I mean, breaking that suspension is so easy in these cars. I mean, it's those little mistakes that build up and build up and build up. And, well, if you clobber the wall, you're pretty much done. We're going to see a replay of it here. He just caught too much curb on the inside, got very tight in the wall.
That curb, man. I mean, we've talked every time we come out here to Indianapolis. That's a big talking point, right? That curb will bite, and it will bite hard. So far, any race we've ever done here at Indianapolis, doesn't matter what car, that curb has caused at least one crash. It's happened in Speed. It's happened in Ole Miss Roll in both their actual stock car races and their own Indy 500K. It's happened in the Classic IndyCar Series here. I'm sure it's happened countless times over the course of VOR's 14 seasons of competition. I mean, it's one of those things. It is like the cardinal rule of Indianapolis. You do not touch the curb under any circumstance. It's a great way to end your race really, really quickly.
Oh, it definitely is. I may have not run this track in the sim, but that's a cardinal rule. You do that, and I mean, I have run this track at NR 2003, which is, the predecessor to iRacing in a stock car. Yeah, if you touch that curb, you're pretty much done and you're going around. I mean, it's basically grass. It's almost equivalent to hitting a grass on like any other track. You're going around if you touch even a wheel on that. So you want to get as close to that white line as possible without touching the curb.
Right on board with Jeffrey Mathin there as he was taking you for a lap or two around Indianapolis. Matthias Strauss has been in complete control since taking the lead early. He has so far led 19. He's about to lead his 20th lap of the day. He took that lead back on lap number 5 from Julian Altena right off the restart and has since just driven away with it. What do you think it is about Strauss here that has allowed him to maintain such a big gap that Julian Altena just hasn't been able to do anything about?
I think he was able to get out of that draft range quickly, and I mean, it looks like Altena and Eftink and Heitzma are saving fuel a little bit, so that could also be doing something, but that is how important the draft is here. If you're able to just get rid of that draft, you can just pull and pull and pull and pull, and we've seen that countless times in real life. I mean, it's a lot less common more in the spec era, but back in the 80s and 90s in the kart days, you'd see people pull massive leads, and then they were just able to keep going and put laps on the field. And I mean, that's how some of the results we see where cars were like a lap down to the leader in like the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Taking a look back further down the field, this is Pim Van Gistel once again in that battle for a 6 with Jeffrey Mathin trying to find a way to close the gap. Mike Jensen, by the way, we saw him take over that 5th place spot a little while ago, right? And he has now ripped away a good 4 seconds clear from just Jeffrey Mathin alone. So Jensen has clearly found some pace in his Dallara IR18 and is not keen on sharing with the rest of the field. And I still think Mathin might be doing a little bit of fuel saving here because he has not been looking to run down Pim Van Gistel too much here. Well, as I said, there goes the look at turn number 1, and he's through.
Yeah, they're swap drafting, that's for sure. I mean, other cars, it seems like a lot of if you're in a pack, you're going to want to save as much fuel as possible. Limiting that time on pit road, and Amon Law just hit the wall. I think that's championship over right there.
Oh no, one of the worst drivers that could have happened to, Amon Lal into the wall. Now, critically, no meatball flag yet. He might have just got away with that. He caught the wall, but it was not that hard of a hit. I'm sure he'll be feeling it, but he doesn't have a meatball flag. That championship stays alive, but that is by the skin of his teeth.
Oh yeah, that was real tough. It looked worse than it is. I think he just barely got away with that. And iRacing's hit detection is smiling on Amon Lal today.
Plenty of action still yet to be had as, once again, Gistel and Mathin battle it out for 6th and 7th. Gistel managed to get back by him as the swap draft continues. Now it's Mathin to fight his way through, and you've also got Andres Vinci in the number 8 spot. He also looks to close the gap.
He's looking to close that gap indeed. He's trying to get up to him here. You can see the swap drafting in effect as each lap the Pim Van Gistel and Jeffrey Mathin are just swapping each lap, trying to save as much fuel as possible. Up at the front of the field, Altena seems to be gaining a bit of gap on Strauss here. I think Strauss might be starting to probably running to a fuel number here. As you can see, they are swapping each and every straightaway, and that's one of the interesting parts about Indy is swapping each and every time. On board here with Julian Altena, I think this is Altena. He's pulling the gap, pulling up that gap, just trying to maintain that speed. He's reeling in Strauss little by little each lap, as you can see over the last 3 laps. He's been able to gain a couple tenths of a second each time, and it seems like he's able to pull a bit closer in the corners. I think Strauss is starting to try and run to that fuel number here. Don't know how long each and every of the fuel stints are going to be, but I'd say about 35 laps, something like that. Surprisingly running. Yep, it's closing in. The gap is most definitely closing. Strauss is starting to fuel save, I think. So, as you can see, back to P6. As you see, these two swap again. So they're most definitely doing the swap drafting strategy and attempt to save each other's fuel. Andres Vinci just sitting in behind, getting the benefits of both of them without having to do any of the work. So, That's a pretty smart strategy as Altena is starting to get in, and Matthias Strauss has hit pit road. Yeah, fuel run about 26, 27 laps. See Matthias Strauss coming onto pit road. There's the 20 car of Jan Steneker, who is now 1 lap down to the leaders. He came down the lap before.
Julian Altena stated that he is going to be pitting in soon, so Altena going to be in from the race lead as Matthias Strauss just now leaving his pit stall. He has dropped back to 4th so far and looking like he will have dropped outside of the top 10 as a result, but no doubt going to look to re-inhabit that lead before too long. Ronan Difte takes up the lead of the race as Altena hits pit road, locks up the brace on the way in, but he gets down safely.
You gotta hit that speed limiter. It's very difficult to do on a track as fast as Indianapolis. Like, at least that pit entry isn't as cruel as the Homestead one, where you have to get down in turn 3. At least here at the Indycars, you can just pull in on the front stretch, so it's a lot easier than some other tracks. I mean, back in the day, you would have had to do the whole apron run through turn 3 and turn 4, so... Textbook stop from Altena there, and he's gonna hit the exit and go through the 1 and 2 section now.
So Julian Altena leads the way out of pit road as the field continues their side-by-side swap drafting battles coming down in towards turn number 1 and 2. Mathen continuing to hold clear as he has got Pim Van Gestel trying to pull forward just a bit further up the road.
I mean, this is a very good preview of what the VOR Indy 500 is going to be like in a couple of months' time. The same style of racing, pretty much the same organizers as well. So if you want to keep watching the GIC style stuff. And anyways, into the pit road we come. More cars coming down pit lane. We've hit a... Ooh! Very lucky for...
Like you're saying, lucky for Pim Van Gestel, no black flags for him as Amon Law, Mateus, Ezekiel Marcamini, and Mathen all make their way down to pit road alongside him. So far, all's well has been what ends while Anthony Heisma just now leaving pit road, and Alal has overshot the box. Oh, a devastating mistake. He's having to readjust time after time again. And for Amon Law, it is disaster as he almost struck the pit wall on the way in.
Oh, that's cruel. That is so cruel. He's gotten a bit lucky, gotten a bit difficult. It's been tough for him so far. He's got that 1 win of the season at Iowa, but this is a very different track to Iowa. You can see him running those VOR colors as he's joined VOR for season 14. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how he gets on over there. Didn't have a really good first race when the VOR teammates kept ping-ponging into each other, and numerous incidents involving teammate collisions during that race at Homestead 2 weeks ago, which, yeah.
Well, take a look at some of what's coming on up over the next few days here on Green Flag TV as tonight kicks off a Richmond Raceway triple header, the Premier Sim Racing Sim Game Expo Truck Series, bound to be out at the action track for an hour and 15-minute long race tonight. Then tomorrow night, it's 140 laps with the Average Joe Sim Racing League alongside 150 laps for the Highline Diecast Collectible Speed Cup Series. Boat Racing League is back for more action. They'll be swinging out on Friday for yet more racing of their own. They will be down at... they are not racing this Friday night. My apologies. It's a triple header on Saturday. There we go. Now I found my bearings. The F3FS Trophy.ai Endurance Series out at the Bend in Australia. As they'll be out starting at 12 noon Eastern time for a 6-hour endurance race. And the flagship race of the day, it's going to be the Velocity Online Racing Indycar Series. So for all the Indycar fans, VOR is back for more. They had over 33 cars show up for round 1 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. It was quite the race to behold. And no doubt, it's going to be quite the show down at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway as well. That'll be at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for race number 2, alongside the SRA Gen 4 Series at Daytona International Speedway that same night. Jeffrey Maffin as well, riding on board with his gearbox as he tries to keep back Pim Van Gistel.
Those two have been swap drafting. They've made their stops. They're probably going to continue doing that throughout this second stint. Going to be a couple more stops, but you're going to want to limit as much time as possible throughout that. So, it'll be tough. And I mean, the Monlaw's Championship is getting a lot further out. We're down to 12 cars running on the lead lap, so it's starting to not look good. If Marquinez suffers issues, I pretty much that's championship set there.
So far, about a third of the way through the Indy 500K this afternoon for the final race of the Global IndyCar Challenge. It's hard to believe we're already at the end, right? It feels like just yesterday when we were kicking things off at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps at the top of the season, and yet we come back around to Indianapolis, and well, how time flies, right?
Yep, it's been a relatively short season. It's only 6 races over a period of 2 weeks in between them, so it's not surprising that time flew by, but I mean, this was originally going to just be a test season for the coming VOR, but there are murmurings it might come back next year as a little mini-series between the Season 14 end and Season 15 start, so we might see this become a thing between seasons for VOR.
VOR, no doubt, going to be fulfilling the IndyCar void on Saturdays. A good substitute if you like the Dallara IR18s and you're sad that the Global IndyCar Challenge might be on its way out. Meanwhile, you've also got some fellow competitors here still having a pretty solid driver thing. So far, we've been caution-free since that crash on lap number 1 that took out good half the field. There were 10 cars involved in that crash, and out of those 10, only about 2 or 3 have rejoined the racetrack since. So far, Daniel Sol, Juan Miguel Rodriguez, Jake Gittes, David Veg, Brian Fiolis, as well as Jonas Silberg, all out of the race. Lucas Santos out of the race of a crash of his own. So is Skaboltz Mariani. Milan Vogelzang right now, the furthest car back, still in the running, 6 laps down. Marquinez, the last car on the lead lap, but he is about to be lapped by Matthias Strauss, putting him 1 lap down.
Strauss is pulling away again. It looks like he's just going to try and make as much of a gap as possible and just try and hold that gap throughout the race. Towards the end of that stint, he was losing time to Altena, so it'll be interesting to see the diversion of strategies over these 500 kilometers. He's led 32 laps so far today, so hoping to lock up that extra 2 bonus points, even if he's not in the championship hunt. I mean, Amon Law won't really like that because he needs to get as many points as he can, but it's not looking too good for him right now.
Pim Van Gistel still in his battle with Jeffrey Mathern. This year, one of the tighter battles on the racetrack, and right now situated over half a lap behind Matthias Strauss. These guys are halfway down the back straightaway, approaching turn 3, whereas the race leader is actually just entering turn 2 as of right now. So there's quite a bit of distance here between some of these guys and your front runners, and I'm sure quite a few drivers like Altena, Strauss, and heck, even Amon Law would no doubt be really hoping for a caution here anytime soon, so they can try to get themselves back up with the rest of the leaders. There goes Gistel as he's going to once again re-overtake Mathern. Right now, these 2 drivers have been the most frequent to swap positions so far this race.
Yeah, and I mean, that's probably part of their strategy to like just keep saving fuel between the two. I mean, they're not teammates, but if you find a good drafting partner and you use them to that business, you don't need to be teammates to just do this each and every single lap. Actually, they are teammates. They're both full Audi racing cars. My bad. Bit of a battle in the top three here. See Broden Eftink and Julian Altena starting to close up in the back of Eftink, who jumped by him in the pit stops.
Eftink and Altena, the two drivers right now on battle for second and third. Matthias Strauss about half a straightaway up the road. Eftink started all the way back in 18th place. He was one of many drivers that did not qualify, and that is because you need 4 clean laps in order to qualify, and quite a few drivers did not make that margin. In fact, only 12 out of the 21 actually had those 4 clean laps going into this race. So if they started way in the back, but he's clearly got some pace, and I got to be honest, I could see him having started on the front row had he gotten all 4 laps in.
Yep, and I mean, he was really fast at Homestead and VOR, a track that used to be a lot closer to Indianapolis in its original guise before it was reconfigured and then reconfigured again to its current configuration of those high banks. I mean, there's nothing else really like Indianapolis since Ontario Motor Speedway closed back in the late 70s, which was a direct copy of Indianapolis out west. But it's the only real track of this style anywhere in the world, and it puts on a show anytime it has a race.
Julian Altena makes the move on Marquinez, and that was to put Marquinez a lap down. We jump back to this battle here for 7th and 8th as Gastel and Method continue to battle out with one another. Now, pit stops for the field, they came roughly around lap numbers, kind of going around 34, 35. So expect these guys in, around 70, I would imagine, for their next stints. Maybe a bit sooner, though, because remember, there were quite a few extra laps that we had under the yellow flag, so possibly around the late 60s range? Yeah, late 60s, early 70s, that's my bet.
Yeah, late 60s, early 70s, that tracks, which means they'll have to make one more stop before the end of the race, or 1 or 2, I think, depending on when you stop, because 125 is a very interesting number for a track like Indianapolis. Like, the Indy 500, you're able to just stop every 30 or something like that. But here, you're not able to do that because the race is a lot shorter. So, and with the lack of cautions we've seen since that first one, there won't be a lot of chances to save as much fuel. So, it's going to be real interesting to see when the stops happen and how they shake up the rest of the race.
Jeffrey Maffin, he'll continue to lead the way, and Pim Van Gastel sits just behind them. What this drafting is allowing cars behind to do, I believe, yes, Matthias Ziegler Marcomini is actually closing in on this battle from behind in 9th. He is about close about 2-3 tenths of a second a lap, and right behind him, Aman Lal is also looking to close the gap. So these guys are making some pretty steady progress. You can see just how much these guys have been closing in. And heck, Aman Lal has even been closing in on Marcomini himself for the last several laps. At the start of the last lap, he was only 7 tenths of a second separated from these guys. So we're about to have a 4-way fight for 8th here pretty soon.
Yeah, but you can see Marcomini starting to do a little mini Indy snake there. Just trying to break that draft a little bit. As you can see, the dive happening every single lap. Those two have been swapping positions pretty much since the start of the race. They're trying to save as much fuel as possible as we go on board with Matthias Ziegler Marcomini.
Marcomini right behind. He's got a front row seat to watch these two guys potentially start to battle it out right in front of him. The pit stop laps all these drivers pitted on are identical, mind you, and frankly, considering that Aman Lal had such a major mistake on pit road, I am shocked that the main points contender has been able to reel these guys in as much as he has been over the last little while. I thought for sure he was going to be out of the draft, he was going to be done for the day, but he's been really putting in the work, and I mean, if he can come away with the top 10, I'm sure that'd be a solid consolation prize.
Yep, as you can see, just slightly touched the wall again there. That car is seems to be pretty tight right now, so it's a bit of a struggle, but what can you do? You've got to keep focusing on trying to just get to the front and just try and do whatever you can and salvage whatever you can, because the championship seems to be Altana's to lose. I mean, if Altana has another screen freeze like he did at Homestead 2 weeks ago, that could bring the Blood Championship wide open, but you never know. You never know.
Oh boy, they're starting to get a bit dicey up there as well. Gastel just tried to look for the inside of Mathen. Mathen kind of cut him off entering turn 2, so they're starting to get a bit more feisty here in this fight for 7th place. They may see the guys closing behind them. They might be trying to get a bit more antsy, maybe trying to get some distance. If I had to reckon, it's just not working though. Marcomini's been reeling them in too much for it to really be doing all that much for their efforts.
Yeah, all this does, like, they're still saving fuel. It seems like that's the strategy between these two Velocity Racing teammates, is to just save as much fuel as possible to get to the end, so they're going to want to do that. It's going to be real difficult to keep these two behind them, considering that Marcomini is just closing in each and every single lap, because every time those cars go side by side, you lose speed. And around here, speed is everything.
While all this has been going on, a battle for 4th has been brewing the last little while, and in fact, it's just drawn to a close. Mike Jensen, who was at one point in this battle here with these guys, he has driven his way all the way up to Anthony Heitzma in 4th, and has actually just overtaken him for the number 4 spot as well. That's a good 12 seconds that he has made up on just pure pace alone. So I tell you what, Jensen has got that car dialed in this afternoon.
It is open setup, so everyone is running a different setup, and that seems to be the difference between some of these guys. I mean, each team has their own setup, as Jensen just drives, sails right on by Anthony Heitzma there.
Right on board with the nose of Anthony Heitzma as he tries to close back in the gap to Jensen, see if maybe he's got an answer for him. Could they begin the swap drafting process? Now, I don't think Jensen is catching Altana. It was another 14 seconds up the road, but oh, there you see Heitzma lifting out of the throttle. Might be saving a bit of fuel.
Yep, just you're going to want to do that until the final stint, trying to save as many laps. You spend less time on the pits in that at any point, because you're just going to want to be able to save as much fuel. The time on pit road is a killer here, as we saw, and if you make a mistake on pit road, that's pretty much your contention over, unless you put on a insane drive. And I mean, it's really difficult here. You just want to limit the mistakes, which really is just the crux of any form of racing, is limiting those mistakes, but especially at Indianapolis in these cars.
Jeffrey Mathen back in that battle for 7th place, still trying to fend off Pim Van Gastel from behind, and as well as that, you just saw 2 cars going for a bit of a swap in positions there through turn 1 as well, so there's quite a bit of ground yet to be made up for Pim Van Gastel. Marcomini, at this point, he has not been reeling in as much. He's kind of hit a wall of dirty air behind Gastel, and now it's a struggle for Marcomini on trying to punch through that dirty air wall. If he can get through, he should be able to make this work, but that's a pretty big if, because that is not an easy barrier to punch through. That's how guys like Matthias Strauss were able to pull away.
Yeah, that barrier of dirty air is pretty much the thing that separates this field. They've spread out over time. The dirty air is starting to accumulate behind these 2 cars here. You can see when they're following this closely, the dirty air multiplies, and it basically creates an even bigger wall behind them. And I mean, with the bonus you get from drafting, with that speed, you're able to keep going. That makes it even harder for a single car following to catch back up to to catch back up. So it's really a game of cat and mouse and just trying your hardest to break through that wall.
And go up to try to battle with Julian Alexander, but he's just not able to break away from Anthony Heitzman behind him, and he might have to wait a bit longer until after the pit stop window gets through. Now wide in turn 4, and Heitzman slips back down to the inside.
Heitzman making good. These two are starting to swap positions because it's really hard to break away when you're in the draft. Like, if you're able to pull away, then you could do that, but these two guys seem to be very, very equal on pace, and that's going to make it even harder. And I mean, it seems like Jensen's car is starting to not act as good as it was, so he's starting to lose that, and Andres Vince is stuck in that wall behind him, so he's pretty much stuck in no man's land right now.
And so far, this fight for 7th has not seen much development. The battle between Matheson and Gastel, they've gotten a bit more single-filed as of late as they approach the halfway point here this afternoon. Jeffrey Matheson has not been able to reel in as much as he might have liked, and I think that's kind of helping them actually keep the likes of Matthias Ezekiel and Mark Amini at bay, not constantly going side by side with the swap track. They're able to kind of use the arrow push on each other to pull a bit further out in front. The problem Matheson's got now is he is almost getting trapped in that dirty arrow wall that Mark Amini right now is trying to break through. He is just barely clinging onto that bubble.
That bubble is so hard to break through here, and I mean, if they keep trying to do that, it'll be really tough, even harder to do, and it's really, really hard right now to break through that bubble. So at this point in the race, everyone's just hoping for a caution, and it doesn't seem like it's going to come out, as right now everyone is just pretty much stuck where they are, and that's the different thing, as Matthias Strauss hits pit road in lap 62.
Matthias Strauss into pit road, so is Julian Altena, so Roden Niefting will take up the lead of the race. Altena taking no chances here, it seems, this time around. Will anybody in our battle for 7th come down to pit road, attempt for an undercut? I'm not seeing anyone yet. 7th and 8th stay out. Yep, everyone's staying out for 7th for the time being.
Yep, and you can see Strauss pulling ahead. Altena's still in the pits. He's going to drop down a bit even further than that, but Strauss was able to get out ahead and probably keep that gap as it was. So we'll see what Eveting is able to do with the overcut. He was able to jump Julian Altena in the pits last time by. We'll see if that's the same this time as he goes on for another lap. So interesting to see the differences in strategy that are starting to come out this time around.
Black flag for Jorge Martinez on pit exit as well. Unfortunate news for him, as he is going to have to come down pit road and serve that penalty once again. It would have been for an unsafe pit exit because he crossed out of the pit exit lane in the chute between 1 and 2, and that is what would have done him in. And that was in an attempt to try to set himself up for turn 2 proper. iRacing, though, doesn't like that. They are very strict with what you can get away with, and he pushed the line a bit too much. There you see it.
Yeah, you just lost it, so that's a tough break. It's so easy to do in these cars. There's see another one coming up pit lane. I think Eveting. Nope, that's not Eveting. So the difference in strategy is starting to pick up here. It's starting to get interesting as we pass. I think we've passed halfway at this point, if my math is correct. So we have 61 laps to go in this 500-kilometer race.
Yep, sir, we just passed that halfway point here in the field, and still caution-free since that lap 1 incident that took out over half the field, or, well, not over half the field, but about half the field in this race. Roden Eveting now in the box as he gets service done for himself. Anthony Heitzma continuing to stay out, but we expect to see him down anytime as well.
If everyone's starting to make their stops, it's going to be similar. They're going to stop in another 30 laps time. So some of them are probably going to try and get as long as a stint as they can so they can avoid having to do a splash and go at the end. So it seems like people are starting to gamble on this turn. I mean, it seems like it's turning into a fuel mileage race as of now.
Height spot down to pit road this time by Milan Vogelzhang and Andres Vinci going to stay out for one more time. Gastel is in, so is the likes of Mathen and Marcamini. Now Amon Lal has already come down pit road. He is just exiting pit road through turn 2 now. So Lal's attempting the undercut strategy to try to see if he can maybe get up there and fight with these guys for that 7th place spot.
Yeah, he's trying to get up there and big mistake there from Mathen. Oh, man.
Huge error for Mathon as he's going to be forced to back out, and he is still trying to adjust, and well, he's finally got it in the stall, but he's easily going to lose that battle for 7. He might even lose a lap because of that.
That is just like, he just blew right by it, and each and every time he was trying to just get it, he could not get it into the right spot, and I mean, it just compounds after that, and it's so easy to do.
And that has costed him a lap. Julian Altena just overtook him in turn 1. So Mathen has gone from fighting for 7th lead lap. Now he's going to be a whole lap down as a result of that. That is a race-ending mistake from Jeffrey Mathen.
Yeah, but it seems like the strategy didn't work for him on Lal, as Vinci gonna pile down pit road to finish off this one, as Roden Eftink has been able to get a bit closer to Matthias Strauss now, and he's been able to pull away from Altena. So it seems like the overcut is the better strategy at this time.
Well, Matthias Strauss now leading the way. He will have only 9 cars on the lead lap. Amon Law was not able to go for the undercut to get around Marcamini and Gastel for 8th and 7th, but he is still within striking distance, so if he can keep that pace up, he might be able to reel this gap in just a little bit more.
Yeah, but you can see Strauss growing in the mirror, but Eftink is starting to close that gap very, very quickly. He's cut down almost a second each time we've come by, so it seems like Eftink is trying to go for the lead and just pull as much of a gap as he can, because, well, I think he's hit the point where he was able to stay out at a bit of an extra lap, so you might only have to make one more stop. Well, Strauss will have to save to get it to that to get to the end of the race with just one more stop. So very interesting to see the differences in strategy here, and I think Eftink has hit the fuel number, so he's just going for it.
So Matthias Strauss, he'll continue to lead the way as the battle between Marcamini and Pim van Gastel remains. We are well over the halfway point, turning lap 70 of 125 with 55 laps to go.
It's the longest race of the season so far. The rest of the races have been pretty much an hour long. This one is easily going to be around an hour and 45, maybe an hour and 50. There is a 2 hour, 30-minute time limit, but at this point, we're not going to hit that. So, yeah.
Oh, we're not even close.
See a battle between Jensen and Andres Vinci here, as Roden Eftink has cut it down to below a second for the lead.
Now that fight for the lead, looking to close in just a little bit more. Roden Eftink right to the back end of Matthias Strauss and seeking to close on in. So Daniel, the fight for the lead, picking up here in earnest, and now Eveton closing it within a second as the 1 lap to go. He reeled in 0.7 of a second. That last lap below, it was a 41.793 to Eveton's 41.136. Roden right now is on the move.
He is absolutely on the move. He is pushing it, trying to get the lead. If he's able to get that lead, he'll be able to control the pace for the rest of this race and try and get that to the end on just one more stop, which everyone wants to do. They don't want to have to make a splash and go with just 2 laps to go. Like, this is turning into a very interesting race now, as Eveton has hit that wall now, and it seems like Strauss is picking up the pace because he knows that Eveton was right behind him and starting to close in at an aggressive amount of pace. I mean, Eveton has been really fast in the 2 starts we've seen him. He finished second in the VOR race at Homestead in his first ever start in that series, and this is his first ever start here. And he's really, really getting into the thick of things here. He's trying to go for the lead.
Could we see one of our first on-track lead changes since lap number 5 of this race? Matthias Strauss, by far, has the bonus point for leading the most laps already, and he has been absolutely dominant all day today. I feel like that domination might be about to draw to a close, though, as Eveton is now hounding the gearbox and hovering within that margin. Let's ride on board for a few laps with Roden. We'll let you take in the sights and sounds of Indianapolis and see if he can make that gap up over the next few. Well, Leafting has certainly caught up to the back of Matthias Strauss, but so far he has not gone for the move yet as he continues to try to get up there. And I have a feeling here, Daniel, like Roden may very well be saving fuel behind Strauss. I think he's kind of made the point, right? I can catch you and I can pass you anytime I please.
Yeah, he's making that point, and all this is doing is dragging Julian Altena closer and closer every single lap. They're saving fuel really, really hard right now. They want to get to the end of the race and just one more stop, and that is going to be the critical part, is being able to save enough fuel so you can get to the end of the race and one more stop, and by that point, all bets are off, and it'll be, basically they'll be swapping the lead every single lap from that point forward.
Well, Strauss will continue to hold on for the lead of the race. You still got the battle between August Vinci and Anthony Heitzma for 4th and 5th, with Mike Jensen just barely clinging on for 6th. That does not see much development. In fact, the battle with Pim Van Gestel, Marcamini, Lull, and more has actually dropped off very significantly since the last caution flight. They have separated. They have not shown much fight in getting back up to each other as time goes along. Of course, the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series run of the same cars makes its return this coming Saturday, as they will be out at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The Magic Mile will play host to round number 2. That will be over on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, along with the likes of the FTR Events GT Endurance Series alongside SRA as well. That's Saturday night to boot. So plenty of action still coming up here on Greenfly TV over the next little while, including the Richmond triple header that kicks off tonight and ends on Thursday night across 3 different series, all of similar lengths as well. So a bit of a fun little coincidence there for those that might be fans of the action track.
Yeah, but it'll be a fun little group of races in the action track. It always provides a very interesting form of racing, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there with those couple races. Heitzma going to dive low. He's going to get that position. Back up to 4th he goes.
Heitzma slips into 4th place. Andres Vinci will duck back to 5th, and Jensen able to close just a tick more as well. While the top 2 will continue to remain in lockstep with one another here. Not a lot of change expected to come in over the next little while. Still got at least one pit stop window left to go. Now, it was about a 30-lap run from stint 1 to stint 2, so around lap 95, if you can go the distance, you might be able to come on in around 95 and be good to go. But I tell you what, if it's going to really play out like that, right, I mean, pit around 34, then 65, and then maybe, 96, that's going to be a really tight fuel window to make the distance. And that might be why we're seeing Roden not going for the overtake.
That is definitely why he's trying to save enough fuel to get that fuel window has turned this into a fuel mileage race. Like it'll be real tough to do. So you never know at this point.
Leaf Tink will continue his run right behind Matthias Strauss. Let's talk a little bit more about VOR, considering it is kind of like a sister league in a sense to the Global IndyCar Challenge, right? Running the same cars, a lot of the same drivers enrolled in both series. They don't run every day of the week. Of course, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the first one up, and then, of course, the Nashville Super Speedway will close out the month of August. They'll return for their first road course race on September 13th, and it's actually going to be not too much longer after that before we get our next race here in Indianapolis with IndyCar Racing. September 20th will be the 14th Indianapolis 500 over for the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series, and that'll be quite the show to throw up. Indeed, it'll be a real barn burner. I'm sure a lot of heavy hitters have got that one circled on their calendars, looking for the date. And it's not the only Indy 500 we got on schedule, right, as well. Classic Indycar Series seeks to cap off their championships with the Indy 500 as well, and included a full pole and bump in. As I understand it, VOR also has their own qualifying process, although we will not be covering VOR qualifying for the Indy 500.
Yep, that is the interesting bit. We will not be qualifying that or covering that qualifying. It'll be a week before the actual race, or actually 2 weeks before, because I believe it'll be in between will be the Indianapolis road course race. That'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Julian Altena has really been closing the gap in to the top two here, and as you see, Rhoda continuing to not go for the overtake. That is going to allow Altena to drive right up to the gearbox now of Ifting. He is within half a second. Now, what do you think here, Deanna? Do you reckon Julian's going to want to go for the win here, or is he going to look to just stay in line and save a bit of fuel of his own?
Yep, he just checked up real hard. That'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. Huh?
Well, the field continuing to have some runs there. There he goes. Rhoda Ifting finally looking to make the move as he ducks around Matthias Strauss with the lead of the race at our first on-track lead change since lap number 5. The only lead changes since then have been during pit stop windows until now when Ifting puts himself on top.
Brilliant move from Ifting because the Indy Snake is starting to be in here. They're starting to go hard now.
Ifting continuing to pull away now from Matthias Strauss. Julian Altena backing up as well, as he has not been too hard on the throttle since then. He has now dropped back, in fact, from this battle for the race lead, and Strauss has, in fact, dropped back as well. So I think both of them are still in fuel conservation mode, likely running a lower fuel map in order to try and save a little bit of that precious gas. Although I will say, I think at this point, if you pit now, you can go to the end.
Yep, you've got to hit that pit road again. You're going to want to do it. It's going to be real hard to get to the end. It's a fuels mileage race now, and you're going to want to hit that number and hit a number quick.
Julian Altena hitting pit road. He is the first one to come down, going down a Kennedy. Oh my goodness! He nearly goes into the inside wall as he locked up the brakes big time going in. No black flag. He keeps it off of the wall, keeps it off of a speeding penalty, but look at this wild entry. Holy cow.
That was lucky, and Amon Lal is probably cursing the racing gods right now. He needed him to crash out at this point because Altena is so much faster.
Oh, and a caution out of turn number 4 as a car has gone around. I believe it was Jensen. Mike Jensen has clobbered the outside wall in turn 4, and this changes the equation entirely. He caught the curb. Daniel, he caught the curb. The same one we were talking about earlier on. It's a good way to end your race quickly.
Yep, it is so easy to do that, and bang, into the wall. That's it. It's done, and we're under yellow. Everyone wanted this because now, basically, it's a straight race to the end after this caution.
Well, the yellow comes out with 31 laps on the cards. And with 30 to go, the field will be brought right back down pit road. Second caution of the day. A tough break for Mike Jensen, who got caught out by the difficulties of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Critically for Altena, he just barely stayed on the lead lap as a result of that caution coming out.
Oh! Yeah. Heitzmuffen.
Oh, no, it's happened again for Anthony Heitzma as he's overshot his pit stall. Coming up and down, around and through, and now leaves the road, but he's lost all that time up to the front runners. So at the head, Jeffrey Mathen maintains the lead lap. He'll have to take a waiver out if he wants to get it back, though. Marquinez will be 2 down, and Altena will be your race leader. Let's, with some fuel saving, he can make it under this yellow flag as well. Oh, this is going to get interesting here.
This is going to get interesting. This has really opened the race up like nothing else, and, well, here we go.
Well, let's take a jump back here. We'll take ourselves a step back when we return. It's the final 30-some laps from the Global IndyCar Challenge in a moment. Well, entering turn numbers 3 and 4, Julian Altena will lead the way. Roden Efting right behind him in second. That is Strauss in third, Vince in fourth, Gestel, Marcamini, Lal, Heitzma, Vogeljank, and Mathen round out the cars on the lead lap. Altena leads the way, but he's got 2 heavy contenders behind him, and they are both good to go on fuel. He might have to save a little bit more. We'll see what will be the case as the pace car pulls down the pit road. 28 laps to go in the Indy 500K. Julian Altena leads the field back to the green flag.
Field spreads out. It's going to be balls to the wall to the end here. This will be straight to the end. Everyone is going to want to finish the race as quick as possible. Altena leads. All he has to do to win the championship, finish it, is just finish at this point.
3 wide now, down the back straightaway. Strauss goes around the top. Efting backs out for the middle. Altena maintains his run down low, but Strauss still finding the outside line through turn number 4. Altena clips the curbing. We just saw one car crash out from hitting it. He keeps it straight, though, as we go side by side down the front straightaway. Strauss clears from Altena. Altena tucks the line between him and Eveting into turn 1. Oh, and into the wall goes Eveting! And one of the hard charges of the day into the fence. He's going to drop back outside of the top 5. As Vinci goes around the outside, Gastel goes around the outside. Now Altena trying to close in on Strauss.
Oh, that's so tough. Oh, that sucks for Eveting.
A rough ride as Eveting will drop back to 4th. He'll stop the bleeding there, but now he's got to try to chase down Gastel, Altena, and Strauss further up the road as Heitzma is able to try and make some ground. Vinci looking to close the up to the back end as well. Well, Daniel, I mean, this fight continues. It's strong battle as they go down the front straightaway and up and around towards turn numbers 3 and 4 down the back straightaway. And Matthias Strauss quickly opening up that lead. Could this be the end of Altena's chances of going for the win?
It seems like it. He's able to pull ahead, and Altena just isn't seeing. He's dropping back very far. He probably hasn't saved enough fuel.
He'll still try to save, though. Pim Van Gastel, that caution helping him out big time. He was kind of having to settle for 7, but that yellow flag has allowed him to jump all the way up now to 3rd on the grid. So I'm sure Gastel is not complaining in the slightest as he is able to make some good track as he looks to fight his way up towards Julian Altena at the head of the field. From behind, you look at Anthony Heitzma as he tries to close up on Andres Vinci. As the number 7 machine trying to make some tracks here, Anthony Heitzma closing up as well. So while the fight for the lead might be dropping back, you might get one for 3rd here if Gastel slips back much further from Altena.
Yeah, just so difficult right now.
Well, the battles will keep on keeping on. We'll flash back to Amon Law. Law right now in a fight with Matthias Zico, Markamini, and Milan Vogelzhang several laps down. Kind of trailing the tail end as well of this one here as Markamini continuing to close up with the back of Law. So the battle for 7th place right now, one of the closer ones we have here on the racetrack as Law tries to claw his way little by little to the front. Anthony Heitzma and Andres Vinci, they still run 5th and 6th, a little ways up the road. Not too many drivers closing in the battles for position. Now, I do see a potential wild card in the mix here, and that wild card comes in the form of Jeffrey Mathon, who is out of pit road, and at risk of going a lap down.
Yep, very difficult there. Just, yep. Anyways, we see the battle just coming up here. Be very interesting to see what happens here.
Well, you got the fight going on here with Vinci as Vinci tries to hold on against Anthony Heitzma. You've also got Eftink still trying to hang on just a little ways up the road as well. And from there, you've also got the likes of Gestel. Still hasn't dropped back as much from Altena, but he is pulling away from Eftink. And I think that damage to the right of Road Eftink's car from that hard slap into the wall started to really rear its ugly head.
Yep, it's when damage hits these cars, it hurts them real bad. It's very difficult to keep that car going straight, and everything is just a pain in the butt right now. It definitely sucks.
Eftink maintaining his momentum up at the head of the field as Andres Vinci from behind caught the curb, nearly slid up into the outside wall. That opens up the door for Anthony Heitzma, and Heitzma now going to look for the inside.
Heitzma going to dive low. He's going to get him. Perfect. Textbook move there.
Now Heitzma able to claw his way back through the field as Vinci holds on just behind for the 5th place spot. Or, well, what is now 6th place, sorry, as Vinci will look to drive up to the tail end. Heitzma has been doing a good job on keeping his car settled where it's at. He's kind of running around the midfield all day long. He is now up to the same position that he qualified in. And, well, he's not left to do much more than try to chase down Eftink and go up for 4th place.
Yep, he's just trying to get in. It's so hard right now. This is the end of the race. Everyone wants to jockey for every possible position they can get. And just so hard right now.
$17 to go. And one by one, the battles continue to shake up as things go along. Julian Altena and Pim van Gestel will continue to duke it out with one another. There you got Road and Eftink just up the road. Anthony Heitzma sitting back in 4th and 5th. The battle for that first spot outside of a podium still the one to watch. It is the closest one on the racetrack as Heitzma keeps trying to reel these guys in.
He's trying, but I don't see him getting anywhere. It's real hard to just get in. I mean, Eftink's car is definitely damaged, so Heitzma should have an easy time, but 3 seconds is a long gap, or 2 seconds is a big gap here at Indianapolis.
It is. It's a really big gap to close, and especially in Indycars, right? I mean, that's a gap that's easily surmountable if you got a stock car, not so much in an open wheeler like the Dallara routine that can punch upwards of 230 miles an hour in the draft. But it doesn't mean it's an impossible task. It's just an extremely difficult one, and it is a doable one. We've seen it happen a few times before, right? I mean, look at how Julian Altena, when he was trying to get to Matthias Strauss. Heck, look at Eftink when he was trying to get around Matthias Strauss and did so successfully for the lead of the race. So it is doable. Just got to put some backbone into it.
It's doable, but you've just got to keep on trying, and it's really hard to do there.
Strauss continues to lead the way as he has been pulling that gap up more and more. He just extended half a second this lap alone. Altena back in number 2, Gestel in number 3. Then it's Eftink in 4th, Heitzma in 5th. As the group is going to continue to keep the fight going here. Eftink, Mathon, Gestel, all under a blanket.
everyone under a blanket right now, and everyone is stuck in that wall of dirty air right now. So it's going to be really hard to get back up into that. As I mean, it's so hard to pass here, and I mean with the wrong setup, you're pretty much stuck where you are. I mean, everyone right now is trying to catch Matthias Strauss, but he's just pulling away on Julian Altena. So I think it's pretty much game, set, and match at this point, unless Strauss makes a big mistake.
A dozen to go as Altena tries to reel the gap in that little bit more. You can see Strauss using that Indycar snake to try and pull himself a bit further clear. The gap not extending by as much as he might want. Now, there is a distinct difference here, right? Julian Altena running in the 6th gear all the way around the racetrack, only downshifting to 5th at the very start of 3 and 4. Meanwhile, Matthias Strauss frequently downshifting into 3rd, and I think that is where he's making up the time, right? Because Strauss is downshifting into 5th. That gives that little bit of extra oomph coming around through the corners that Altena just isn't getting.
He just is not getting that oomph, and that's the hard part. He probably wants to be up there, but he just can't get up there right now. And, well, it's only 10 laps to go. He's running out of time.
Well, look at this. Right now, Strauss is running the 5th gear setup, right? So he is not shifting out of 5th gear. That car is almost hanging off the chip. Now, here's the catch. That is the faster run if you're in clean air, which Julian Altena is not. That's the caveat, right? It's that constant back and forth. Is 5th gear or 6th gear quicker? It is such a fine margin, but that extra mile an hour and a half you can find it, that is the decider in races like these.
It most definitely is. So, yep. What can you do? Anyways, riding on board here with Pim van Gestel. He's trying to close in, but he just can't do it. It's so hard right now.
Well, the battle is going to continue the fight. Gestel now closing in, and sooner or later, Altena's going to have to worry more about defense than he is on offense. We're also reaching that point of no return, right, where a yellow flag would end the race if one were to come on out. That'll be coming up in only about 5 or so laps here. So I'm sure that some of these drivers are kind of keen to get a handle on this as soon as they possibly can to boot.
Yep, it's so hard right now. He wants to get in. He just cannot do it, and that's the tough part.
Well, Altena going to keep the fight up. He's got 7 laps if he wants to try and run down Matthias Strauss at the very head of the field. The battle's still on. You got, of course, Lal and Markovini. You've also got the fight between Eefdink and Heitzfeld, but that's a battle that's kind of dropped off a little bit more as of late. That said, Matthias Strauss is starting to lose that gap as well. It was at 1.6. It's down to 1.2. Does Altena have a chance?
I mean, it's really hard to see if he does have a chance. I can't see it happening. I mean, you never know. But he might be able to do it. We'll see if he can.
Six to go. Julian Altena effectively locked into his position now in the championship. He would need to finish outside of the top 5, and Lal would need to win right now. That is effectively an impossibility unless Lal is able to just reel in 2 seconds a lap up to Strauss, which, well, let's be honest, that unfortunately is not going to happen. You might need to find a 7th gear, as if you were in a Hollywood film, if you wanted to go for that type of a lunge. But still, the gap between the leaders closing in as Julian Altena effectively securing his championship. Now just looks to take the last honors of winning that final race.
He just needs to do that, but it's so hard to do. He wants those honors of winning that final race. He only has 5 more laps to go. That's around 10 miles. And out of the 500-kilometer race, which has been a long one, it's been over 2 hours since we started. So it's been a long one. You just gotta keep it clean, keep it going, and finish the race.
Well, the gap down to a second now, so that gap continuing to close with 4 laps to go. Does Altena have a chance? He's back in the drafting window. The gap down to 1.03. He closes in another few hundredths this lap. It's not enough unless he can really find a few tenths a lap in him. But if he's in the draft, he might be able to get up there.
Yeah, it's just so hard. He wants to get in, he just cannot do it.
You can see Strauss weaving left, weaving right, really trying to break that toe and keep Altena from getting in there. And so far, he's doing a phenomenal job at it. 3 laps to go, and the gap has grown back up. It hasn't hit 1.1 yet, but it's not coming down nearly as quickly as Altena needs it to.
It needs to come down even more, but he just can't do that right now. It's so hard.
Two laps. And still, Matthias Strauss continues to eke out that gap more and more. So he's going to work his way into the second turn for the penultimate time tonight, with Altena sitting right behind, trying to reel him in. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
It doesn't seem like it is. It seems like this race is over. You never know.
White flag in the air. 4 more turns in this 500-turn race for the Indy 500K. Matthias Strauss coming around through 1 and 2. The gap up to 1.2 seconds. It is not looking set to close anytime soon. But for Julian Altena, he took his first win earlier on this season. It was over with an excellent drive earlier in the season, and now, as Strauss leads the way out of the final corner, he'll win the final race. But Julian Altena will take the championship with the 2025 Global IndyCar Challenge.
What a season it has been for Julian Altena. Consistency is king. He only has 1 win on the season, but over those 6 races, you needed to finish consistently, and he did just that.
What an excellent race this afternoon. 2 cautions on the day. 1 massive pileup early on, and then a big game-changing crash that saw Mike Jensen go hard into the outside wall. And I'm sure Julian Altena, a very happy camper. You know, we were talking to him earlier today, and he says he really wished Johan Royer could have been here. And boy, that would have been a fight had Royer been able to attend this afternoon. But hey, no matter how you win it, a championship is a championship. And Altena will stand atop the boards.
Yep, just brilliant.
Matthias Strauss will drive across the yard of bricks, and then he'll start his celebrations in this final race this afternoon. A well-deserved win, by far the dominant car of the day. And this is a win that Strauss can be proud of. Oh, is he going to burn out on the yard of bricks? You can't do that. That's the sacred rule of Indianapolis, right? You don't do a burn out of the yard. I don't think he's going to. I think he's had the sense. He's just going to park there and be proud of himself. That's fine. That's totally fine. And good. He did not break the cardinal rule of Indianapolis. Let's take a rundown of your official post-race results here this afternoon. Matthias Strauss takes home the race win at the end of the day. Julian Altena will be number 2, along with your new champion. Pim Van Gistel comes on 3rd. We'll talk to all of them in just a moment. From there, it's Anthony Heitzma in 4th, Andres Vinci in 5th. Then it's Law, Marcamini, Eftink, Mathen, and Marquinez to close out the top 10.
In 11th, Milan Vogelzang. He's the last finisher of this race, which everyone below this, DNF to Mike Jensen, Hank John Seneker, Suzabooks Fernandi, Lucas Santos, and the first lap Calamity, Schoberg, Fiolis, Gitis, Veg, and Rodriguez all failed to finish.
Tough
and
break.
Daniel Sol.
Yeah, tough break for drivers up and down throughout the field here this afternoon as we'll wait for the top 3 to come over and give us a chit-chat here this afternoon. And I'm sure that, Altena is going to be a happy contender here this afternoon. We'll start things off with Matthias Strauss, the race winner here at the end of the night. Matthias, you were by far the dominant car today. And, of course, winning an IndyCar race in Indianapolis, no matter how long, there's just always something special about it.
Yeah, for sure. This is my second win in a IndyCar league, so to have it at Indy is super special.
So kind of talk us through the game plan here this afternoon, because obviously this race was an intense one from start to finish with that big early crash that took out a good chunk of the field. Long green flag runs was an inevitability. How hard was it to keep up that focus to make sure that you retained that lead throughout the duration?
Well, it was actually pretty hard since I got the lead early on and made a dash for it, and didn't really pay attention to anything else apart from hitting my marks every lap. But on the third stint, the second stint, it hit me that the fuel number was going to be bigger and bigger for the more laps I ran in fuel in the dash. So that was the most concerning. So I just prayed that for some yellow, but to have that late, the yellow that late, it was tricky.
Overall, it's been a hard-fought race for you here this afternoon, but still have 2026 and beyond, as well as the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series. Where would we expect to see you out on the track next, if it's not here in GIC?
It's probably in VOR for the remainder of that season.
All right, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing, hopefully at New Hampshire Motor Speedway this coming Saturday. Congratulations on taking home your race win, and we'll see you when we duke it out at the Magic Mile.
Yep, thank you, boys.
Matthias Strauss comes on number 1 this afternoon. We'll move on down to your third place finisher, Pim Van Gistel. We'll save the champ for last. Daniel, you stand by with our final podium finisher.
Pim Van Gistel. Very interesting race. What was that strategy you were doing with the 73 car whole race long? I've already forgotten names.
Jeffrey Marthon, you mean?
Yeah, Mathen.
Yeah, we're just trying to swap draft and catch up to the guys in front and save a bit of fuel. He's our unofficial 4th teammate. He's on the academy team, so work with him and we try to catch up the guys in front together.
Yep. Well, it seemed like it worked. You eventually did finish up and all that job, so you were able to finish P3. How does it feel to finish P3 in Indianapolis?
It feels good. I didn't have the best of the season so far, so it feels good to finish on a high.
So, any expectations for the remainder of the VOR season?
For the four?
For VOR.
For VOR, I sure it's the round just started and I didn't have the best first race there, so we'll see.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see. So, can't wait to see that. So, hope anyone you want to thank for this result today.
Yeah, my teammates Anthony, Milan, and Jeffrey especially. He for working with me in for the entire stint almost. And you guys for the broadcast, and everyone else for participating in the league.
Well, that was Pim Van Gestel bringing it home, number 3 here this afternoon, as we'll look to bring on up Julian Altena here this afternoon, the new champion of the 2025 Global IndyCar Challenge. Julian, a hard-fought championship for you all throughout the season. Bit of a shame that Johan Royer wasn't here to make it more interesting for you, but hey, a championship is a championship, and you come home on the podium to boot here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, thank you. I have to admit it was a pretty boring race, I'm not going to lie. We were practicing in cooler conditions, and then the track temperature turned out to be 10 degrees hotter or so. So I was telling Aman and the guys on the team, like, oh, I'm sure we'll be fine without the wicker on the rear wing. And then the track temp shot up, and I honestly didn't really pay attention to it that much. So we kind of suffered, and we just added wing on the first stop and kind of were forced to run the rest of the race with it, or else we would have just been too loose with the rear wing and the front wing angle. So it was the best we could do. Wasn't enough to win the race, which was my main goal. Knowing that Johan wasn't there, of course, I kind of knew that I had the championship in the bag already. Of course, Aman was there, put up a good challenge as well. He struggled early on, and of course, Aman is going to be a teammate next season, so we were running the same car pretty much. So yeah, we were both making the same changes for the race for the first stop, and kind of went from there, like I said. So he did a really good job to recover to P6, but yeah, pretty decent result overall with the championship. Of course, Nolan, I've already spoken to you. It feels a bit cheap, to be honest, to win it in my own series, kind of, but it is the fairest you can get with open setups and everything, so I'll take it. I'm I guess content is the word to describe it with the championship. I'll take it.
Well, overall, the championship came home as a solid outing here this afternoon. Of course, there is still the main series to contend with as well. The VOR IndyCar series about to enter its second round here at the Magic Mile. What's going to be your game plan season long for VOR, and what can we expect to see from you in New Hampshire this Saturday?
First of all, pray that the iRacing update fixed the Mosa issue, because that took me out last 2 weeks ago from my third place. So that was a 16th place instead because of that. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. So yeah, top 10 is always the goal. If we can, a podium would be nice, but we've got to string these top 10s together first, and then we'll see about the rest. So top 10 is going to be the goal.
Well, we wish you the best of luck then for the Magic Mile in New Hampshire. Congratulations on taking home number 2 today in the race and number 1 in the championship. And we'll see you when we go racing this Saturday at the Magic Mile.
100%. Thanks for everything, guys. And also good luck to Pim taking over the full admin responsibilities next season. It's going to be interesting how he does. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
And that was your new and now defending champion, Julian Altena. And, well, Daniel, that's going to about do it for us here this afternoon. A hard-fought race that we had all throughout this championship. And overall, I think a stellar way to close out the season, right? Lots of good, clean racing. We did have one big spill right at the start, but we ran pretty much green to checkered following that. But Well, while one chapter is ending, you still have the main series, which is only in its infancy still in the season, and I'm willing to bet it's going to be a bit of a wild ride when we swing out to New Hampshire on Saturday.
It will be a wild ride when we swing out to New Hampshire, completely different style of track, so it will be interesting to see what happens there. Will be a completely different style of track, much larger field. Here's hoping we don't have a giant pile-up early into the race in that one.
Well, we wish you the best of luck as well. I unfortunately will not be there in New Hampshire, Daniel. I have my own commitments to attend to over down at the Bend for the FCR Events Trophy.ai GT Endurance Series, but I'm sure you and Lucas Moody will have a lot of fun over on Saturday. In the meantime, if you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name is Ola Ramble alongside Daniel Bouchard with Howie Burrows behind the cameras. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you for the Global IndyCar Challenge for having us on board for the 2025 campaign, and we will see you all when we go racing next time on Green Flag TV.